Alright, so if you are looking for more reasons to jump back into Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, then this is your lucky day because the game just got a massive 70GB sized update that brings in tons of changes, new secrets, and some amazing new events. Plus, the first ever paid DLC called Brushes with Death that also brings in some amazing goodies, so we're going to check that and more in this video, and let's jump right in. So let's get started with the new free horse riding contest. This includes both horse races and mounted archery, both of which are actually insanely challenging, especially once you fully unlock them. They can be really difficult, and also the payout can be very good, assuming that you bet big. And to unlock this, you're going to need to head over to the Trotsky region right here at the Nomad camp, and basically you're going to notice two new side quests appearing, and you can go ahead, talk to Mikolai, and start the quest chain for him. However, during that quest chain, you can also earn some other rewards, including 2 secret skills and a couple of horse upgrades, especially if you're early in the game. So once you have finished the trial runs for both of the NPCs, you can go ahead and resolve the dispute back at this altar over here, and you're going to just progress normally through the dialogues up until the moment you have to choose to either go with one or the other. They will each try to bribe you with a skill and an item, but like I said, don't fall for it because we can get all of those skills and those items. So when you get to the screen right here to choose between one, the other, or both, make absolutely sure that you pick to both, as that's very important. Then you're going to be put through this screen right here, in which you're going to have to pass a quick skill check for either persuasion or scholarship. In my case, scholarship was higher, so obviously that was the option I picked. And finally, the only thing remaining is to correctly guess the names of both of their horses, and the correct option here is the fourth at the bottom, First of 1,000 and Tooth. Upon doing so, you're going to get both the skills from both of them as well as each of their respective items, so let me show you what they do. In the case of the skills, we get these two right here. As you can see, I got them both in the same playthrough. This includes the Equestrian Explorer from Mikolai, which basically makes our horse deplete stamina 5% slower. We will also get to see 15% further when using fast travel, and you will also have a better chance to react to events on the road or even avoid them altogether, which may be actually very helpful even on something like a hardcore run. The other one we got from Bibrak basically just makes when riding a horse to increase our ranged attack damage by 10%, which is actually not too shabby. Meanwhile, for the items, we get one of each selections of brittles. So from Mikolai, we got the Zammer brittle, which is more aimed towards racing and also very useful in his event. It's not the best, and the tournament version is better, but if you just started a new playthrough, this can be a very good option until then. Meanwhile, from Bibrak, we got the Carotene version, which is essentially one for general purposes and combat, gives some extra courage, but at the cost of reducing some of that stamina and speed, but luckily we get all of them to choose between. And now that all the quest chain is complete, you can now also talk to either of them to start their respective challenges. So Mikolai will give you access to the horse races, including the higher end ones on which you can also bet money, and trust me, they can be quite challenging, but I'm going to show you how to get the fastest horse in just a little bit. Meanwhile, for the horsemanship archery, that's going to be much more difficult, especially these trials right here at the bottom. The third ones are just dreadful. Don't waste your biggest money on them. Go with the smaller versions up until you can at least learn the courses, because trust me, you're going to have to both control the horse for the toughest ones and also shoot at the targets while jumping and avoiding obstacles. And trust me, it's not easy, but damn is it fun once you get a hold of it. Now, while we're on the subject, if you want the quickest horse, and assuming that you no longer have Pebbles or Herring, or just want the quickest option in the game, you're going to want to head over right here in Kuttenberg and basically talk to the stables guy over here and buy a special horse from him called Kinchem. As far as I'm aware, this is still the quickest in the game, having about 60 speed by default and 260 stamina, which means he's going to be by far the quickest, but also at the cost of having abysmal courage at only 5. In this case, you can also go ahead at the nearby NPC, and now you will see that the Saddler Master will sell pretty much all of the best horse gear in the game. This even includes the Dragon Saddle, which is still the best from the looks of it, and also that Tournament Brittle and others in there to make your horse much quicker. I'm pretty sure you can bring that stamina to like 265, 275 depending on the combinations, and 60 speed. By the way, if you want to finish it off with the best horseshoes in the game, you can get the racing versions right here just northeast of Sugdol. You're going to find this location called the Watering Hole. We talked about this in a very old video, but go ahead, grab it. It's right inside one of these bags by the tent. However, these are not the only changes that we have, and besides what's indicated in the patch notes, we also get quite a few secrets in update 1.3, and one of them you're going to absolutely love, which is the fact that we can finally reforge the Radzig sword all the way to rank 4. You can just go at any blacksmith. This is what it's going to cost. It's just going to be 3 Toledo steel and also having the Radzig longsword, and you can go ahead and bring it to rank 4, assuming of course that you have that special skill in the crafting blacksmithing skill line. And in this case, as you can see, the damage will get bumped to 161, which is not too shabby. This is still going to be the best sword in the game, or in this case 169 if we're talking about stab damage. There's going to be another sword that's going to be top 3 or top 4 in just a little bit, but that's going to be from the DLC. I'm just happy that we finally got the option for this. Another one that seems to be hinted in the patch notes, it seems that they've added some previously unobtainable item variants to shops and locations. I was able to find a few of them, but essentially you're probably going to want to start a new playthrough for this, but many of the chests we previously unlocked will now have new loot in them. For example, this random camp over in Apollonia in the first region, as you can see, brought some really interesting noble hood and embroidered coat of rank 3 right from the early stages, and both of them look really great. I think that these colors over here are quite unique. I don't recall seeing something like this, but I think that the coloring can change slightly depending on your luck, so it may not be this color for you, but this is the one version I found that wasn't before. So checking out all the other vendors and NPCs, and also of course the chests, will be worth it in the new patch. And speaking of that, they also mentioned that they added more variety at the merchants over in Gutenberg, but also at the cost of increasing the cost. So I checked out especially the blacksmiths, and lo and behold, they do have a larger selection than before in terms of pretty much every item category, to the point that now you pretty much have options for almost every armor set in the game. Previously, if I recall right, you kinda had to just reset the shop by waiting a few days until it replenished its stock, but now we can see we have a ton of these right here. However, they do have a cost increase, and as you can see, we have some of the armor pieces going all the way to 10,000 groschen, which is actually really crazy. These used to be like 6k give or take, so yeah, that's definitely a huge bump, but I mean, it's not like money is difficult to come by in this game. And the same goes for pretty much everything else. You will also notice that there are plenty vendors with big rewards over there too. Also, while we are on the subject of changes, there are a few that I've also noticed. For example, do you remember that previous to patch 1.2, we were able to end the game early by essentially assassinating King Sigismund? Well, that's actually back and it's been improved. So shout out to the Reddit user who actually got this footage right here. As you can see, upon performing that assassination, now Henry actually properly goes by the chair, stabs the king, and there's also another sequence playing right after this where the guard actually takes him down, but the message seems to be pretty much almost exactly the same, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this is still going to not be that lore accurate or historically accurate, but it's still a nice piece to have over there in case you want something different. And also, let's not forget about the fact that there are entirely new tutorials over there, even one that appears if you logged in the game after, for example, waiting a long time. Long time no see, considering it's been a while since you last played KCD2. You can now hold R, or I believe it's circle on the controller, to see that in-game tutorials again. General help on game mechanics is always available in the help section in the main menu. But we have other prompts similar to this as well. For example, if you sleep in somebody's bed, you're going to get the sleeping in somebody else's bed prompt over here that tells you not to do so because that can be considered a crime. Or similarly, if your reputation has dropped is another one that I've noticed, but let me know down below in the comments if there are other similar prompts that appeared exclusively in patch 1.3. But on a final note, I also want to talk about the new Brushes with Death DLC because man, I absolutely love this. It theoretically only adds a quest chain in which you're going to have to help this very peculiar character, which also happens to be a painter, and you're going to start it right here, not far away from the Trotsky castle. So you will have to go back in the first region, and eventually you will have to move to Gutenberg as the NPC also moves over there. However, during this quest chain, which I'm not going to spoil because it's very fun, it has a very nice story, and it's absolutely worth buying, by the way. I bought the season pass, so I'm absolutely glad that I can play these expansions in the future too. However, during this quest chain, you're going to unlock shield painting. It doesn't take too long for that, and like the name implies, you can pretty much paint on any shield. Yes, this also includes the ones from Twitch drop campaigns, and yes, you can revert back to their original skills if you want to. So by talking to this NPC, once you complete its first quest line, you will see that you have the option to choose different patterns, colors, category of symbols and whatnot. So obviously you can go for a very customized approach on how to craft your own shield. And not just that, you can also eventually unlock additional symbols and crests and other cool stuff for the shield as you progress in that DLC quest line. So in this case, I would say it's absolutely worth it, and at some point you will get something extra besides this too. So let me show you what you actually get. So eventually you're going to have this mission which is called the Nightmare, and just like what the name implies, you're going to have to kind of dress like the devil. In this case, you will also get to customize a piece of armor, because you're going to have to give the same painter a bunch of items, including one of your headpieces. In this case, I gave it my best headpiece, and even though it did suffer a bit in terms of stats, it's still like 99% there, but it got this really awesome devilish look out of it, with horns and ears, and even like the bassinet over there kind of got filleted a little bit so that it looks like it has teeth, and it's even more hilarious in cutscenes if you have it open. So definitely give it a try. If you don't want to ruin it, maybe pick another headpiece, because it will get permanently affected, by the way, but you can just buy others if you want to. Besides that, we also get the armor set for it, so this is going to be part of a full set that kind of makes you look like a devil. As you probably noticed, it's not like much of a change, but it's still quite nice to have something extra. I kind of wish that in the future they add more armor customization like this. And speaking of armor, there's actually going to be a second armor that you can technically get a little bit earlier than that. So this is going to include the Mr.'s cuirass and also the Murderer painted helmet. This is technically going to be a two set that you get at different intervals, but it looks something like this. I haven't noticed it doing anything in terms of dialogues or making me appearing more threatening, neither in this case or the previous armor. So if you do notice something different, let me know down below in the comments. The only other reward, as far as I've noticed, is also from the same quest chain in the DLC during the mission called Man Proposes. This is going to be a bit later in Gutenberg. You're going to get to talk to a special friend over here who eventually gives that broken sword to you. It's essentially this, called the Madman's Broken Sword. And once you do get that, right during that mission, you're also going to unlock a blueprint for it so that you can go ahead and reforge it. And in this case, I'm pretty sure that this is like the third or fourth best sword in the game right now. It has 165 damage, or in this case 157 if we're talking about slash damage, so that averages at about 152. It's still going to be lower than the Radzig Reforged if we're talking about rank 4, but I'm not gonna lie, I like having more options, and it doesn't look too bad. What's interesting, you can literally see where Henry actually completed the piece. You can actually see that small crease over there where it was previously broken, and Henry completed it with, of course, extra metal. So that is a nice attention to detail that makes it look a little bit more unique. But yeah, that pretty much concludes today's video. Let me know down below in the comments if there's any other cool secrets you've noticed in patch 1.3 or the brand new DLC. In the meantime, I will see you in the next video.